legacy that's long. That's the legend of the Armstrong.
Are you ready? Because I was born ready. Well, we're back again. I see it's the Casio Kid and D-O-double-G. Yeah, man.
Casio, you had me popping already. I was born ready. I forget what, that's a famous line from, remember the, I think it was Cannonball Run.
I was born ready.
I was born ready. But I was literally born ready, they said.
Are you ready? We're back again.
Yeah, no, what are you? I can't believe you're still employed here.
I can't believe
how did that
Cats
happen?
is employed. He didn't know last time.
Yeah, well, they're smart in hiring him back, man. He's a catch, as they say in the biz. I don't know what biz I'm talking about.
I was about to say your biz. You're in the
Oh
biz.
yeah. It's none of your biz. Hey, I have no idea where we're going or what we're doing. But this is the kind of ride I like.
Well,
It's
I'm sure
unexpected.
after last week when we did the best of, people thought they're done.
They're done. And
But
look,
we're
to be
back.
quite honest, for a moment, I thought the same thing. And that's not the truth, but quasi true. Because look, I got a new job, and I think everybody's aware of that. It's taxing, and it's I have to pay a lot of attention to it, and so we're going to fumble our way through this thing, but just to keep it going, because I know some of you guys rely on me and now Casio to get you through the week. Maybe it's a form of therapy for you. Maybe I talk about, I'm just kidding. I just going to joke and tell sophomore PP jokes and stuff, Anyway, other than that, we're just happy to still be here.
We are, and we're rocking and rolling. And on this week on Oh, You Didn't Know, we're going to discuss you, Road Dogg, when you were no longer the Road Dogg. You're just BG James.
Oh, BG James. And here's the whole deal. If you remember that part, if you're a real fan, not a real fan, if you're crazy probably, and you remember that, I cut a promo in the ring at TNA and said, BG James, that's my real name. It's good enough for my mama, then it's good enough for me. And that's country and sweet tea and jelly bean sounding. And so I thought it was a good promo, and I thought it was a good line. And I cut it early on, like the first time I had an opportunity to cut a promo at TNA. Everybody knew me as the Road Dogg. And so people were still going to say Road Dogg, but I thought if I can get this out quick and throw it away, it's not a throwaway line because it matters, because it's the name change, but just spit it out in some cool way. And then from now on, my name's BG James, but not harp on it, not make a big deal. It's good enough for my mama. It's good enough for me. Bam. And you keep on with the business. You know what I mean? And look, because people nowadays, you see online nowadays, people lose their ever-loving mind when WWE changes a name. Now, look, that was in the past, and you see some names coming back to their original form, and you probably will see more of that. But it's not that big a deal, Fergal Divot or whatever is. I don't really remember his name from prior to that. Was that his name? What was his name? No, Finn Balor. See, his
Fergal Divot.
Yeah, his name was like Fergal McDivotstein or something. I don't know what his name was because nobody else does either now.
Prince Devitt.
Prince Devitt. There
I like
Prince
Fergal McDivitt way better. By the way,
that's way better.
Yeah.
And you could get like that's McDivot's. That's like in Coming to America, the different McDonald's or whatever this is. That was McDowell's. I think that was McDowell's. This
Fergal
is
McDivitt.
This is
We
where
need
you
a
would hit the
t-shirt.
sound. This is where you would hit the sound effect.
We need a Fergal. I'm
No.
a Fergal McDivitt guy t-shirt. I think that's what we need. Please, we need some merch
Hey,
bad.
that's good. That's
need it.
That's actually really good. So his name was Prince Devitt, but his real name was, I don't know. His real name is Fergal. See, I'm three-quarters of the way right,
Fergal?
just way out of left field with it. But my point with all that is what a ride we went on to get here, is just to say the name, names change. And that's that's originally what we were talking about with the BG James. Of course, I didn't own Road Dogg. I couldn't use it. And so I could use BG James because nobody could take that one from me. And I just thought the B stands for, I don't know. Remember,
What does it stand
remember
for?
Fred G. Sanford used to say the G stood for something different every time. So I thought, like, that really dates me too, right? I'm using comedy cues from Sanford and Son,
Nothing
but
like
it
a
is
Sanford
classic.
reference.
It is classic comedy. Was like, I would say the B is for Brian and the G is for whatever I would change it every time, you know, because Fred would say, like, the G is for gorgeous, or the G is for genius, or the G, you know what I mean? He would say, and so I thought that's what I'll do in my promos.
We might make you do that every week from now on. I'm going
will.
to ask what the G
I will.
stands for.
I will come up with a different.
Okay.
Right now, it stands for Giovanni.
Oh,
I might
Giovanni
be one of those.
James.
I might be a model with Max Dupree's group.
Boy, Giovanni
think?
James sounds serious, man.
Yes,
I think he was
good. He was
a
Italian.
valet for Fergal McDivitt. I believe that was the deal.
Oh, I wish that was his name. I tell you what, sometimes it is now, right?
I need to change my Twitter name to that.
Yeah,
Fergal McDivitt.
We're
somehow going to transition into TNA.
Yeah.
I don't know when that'll be, but we're having fun.
In a minute, right?
Yeah, we're having fun.
Slow down.
So what did the G stand for?
It was
Giovanni?
The G stood for Gerard, actually. My middle name is Gerard, like Gil Gerard, but spelt differently. Girard. It was my grandmother's stepfather's name or something. I don't know. It was weird. My father gave it to me because it was somebody prominent on his side of the family.
Right.
And then Gil Gerard was from Biggity Buck Rogers, you know.
Well, how about that?
All of that. You just got all that.
Anyway, we did.
I went to TNA.
Did you?
They called me BG James. Good enough for my mama. It's good enough for me. Now we're right back to where we were 20 minutes ago.
Right.
Before my verbal rants.
I was actually going to start before TNA. Well, let's get how you got there. Okay.
Okay.
So you're let go by WWF in early 2001.
Fired.
Okay. I tried to be polite there.
No, they didn't. Then they rightfully
They let
so.
you go. They let you be free.
I would have thrown me out on the streets.
They said, spread your wings and fly. If it comes back, it was love, right?
It was just like.
You're horrifically fired by WWF in early 2001, and that's going to be a story for another time. We'll save that one. But you're on the sidelines as ECW closes and WCW closes, and the only way to apply your trade at the time is WWF, and that obviously wasn't going to happen. What did you think of the state of the wrestling business when all of Vince's competition went away?
Well,
were you even thinking like that at the time?
No, heck no, I wasn't thinking like that at the time. But you know what? The truth of it was I wasn't thinking about business stuff at all at the time. It was just, how do I get high again? You know what I mean? And as long as I can do that, we're good. And then that was sadly and pathetically, that's the frame of mind. But I dang sure wasn't thinking bigger than that about business. So I was just like, oh, they fired me. Well, how much money do I have in the bank? How long can I live? I need to start doing some indies. And so I just, you just kind of go on, especially if you're in active addiction. You just got to do what you got to do to continue living the way you think you have to continue living, but you don't. So you really just got to keep the lights on and stay high. And that's where my mind was at the time. And look, that's all. I try to cover this every time. Like, that's a pathetic existence and it's not necessary. But I didn't know that at the time. I know that now. And they say hindsight's 20/20. Sorry, I butchered Randy Travis's song because I was rushed and I can't breathe in here. It's not the right acoustics.
Right. You need some soundproofing, I think. Cut down the echo.
This is where you'd hit the gimmick.
Andy's and what you were thinking about the time?
Just trying to pay the bill. Right. Trying to pay the bills, trying to stay in active addiction and that's all. You know what I mean? Literally, that's all. Like, how much can I get off of each independent show? Because I just came off the big TV as the road dog or a pretty successful run. So what can I do? But that goes, the price goes down quickly. You know what I mean? Like, you may make one price for a year and you're going to make half that the next year because you're not on TV anymore. You know what I mean? And you're not in the limelight anymore. So now it's just you out there trying to get the spotlight, and it's harder on an independent circuit. It's harder to stay relevant, you know?
Let's talk about indies. I don't want to go too far into it. We'll probably hit that in the future as well, but we're talking 20 years ago, Indy. The scene has changed definitely in 20
Yes.
years on the independent circuit, but I would imagine for somebody fighting demons, indie circuit, probably not the best place to regroup.
Horrible.
They're
horrible
probably
place.
making it actually worse.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
look, it's because you go to some of these towns that you see some people that you wouldn't normally see because it's a littler venue, it's a smaller town. So my point is, you come in close contact with people when you do the indie circuit. And I mean, you may ride with somebody you don't know, but they all know, because my reputation preceded me, and so they all knew. And so if they wanted to be friends with the Road Dogg, they would bring me some Scooby snacks. You know what I'm saying? And so that for me at the time, that was the best thing ever. I know when I go to Chicago, such and such is there. I know when I go to LA, such and such is there. I know, and so that was great for me at the time. It was helping to kill me. But that's not their fault. You know what I mean?
Right.
They just wanted to hang out with me, I guess, or whatever. And so I wish I could meet all those people again, and we just have like a cup of coffee and talk about real life, instead of like, hey, how much you got? Hey, what do you got? Hey, what? You know what I mean? Like a real connection instead of a drug deal.
How much were you having to hide it, for lack of a better word, while you were in WWF? Obviously, they knew about it, but
Yeah.
were you having to hide it? And were you now in the indie scene? You're like, I don't have to hide anything.
Yeah. So I was supposed to be hiding it in
Right.
WWE, but the reason they all knew about it is because even if I thought I was hiding it, it was, you know what I mean? I was just hiding it from me. I was the only one I was fooling. Everybody else could see clearly. I could see clearly now, the rain is gone.
What can you see?
McDivitt and Ryan, Prince McDivitt, sunshiny day. Dang, I got on with it after the Prince McDivitt line. I kind of went on with it.
You did.
I have no idea what we're doing. This is my favorite show so far. I'm not even kidding. I'm having a blast.
Well, buckle up. They're all going to be like this from now on. I can't control you like Ryan did. We're having fun.
Okay, good.
Hiding your addiction. Did you feel in the indies, hey, I'm just going to,
well, yeah. Then
all out.
Yeah, then it was Katie bar the door, and it was almost what people expected. You know what I mean? Until they saw me that way, and it was like, oh, bless his heart.
So it wasn't a fun deal to hang out.
No. You didn't. Hey, look, and then it turned into, okay, well, I'm just going to do it in my room, which then's even worse, kind of, because now you're just isolating, and you only kind of come to a little bit to go outside and to go do something, accomplish whatever.
It's not a social thing anymore.
Yeah. Go, and so it's. Yeah, it got bad, and the indies made it worse, and it's not their fault. I don't blame anybody for any of my active addiction. That was a decision I made to start. It was too late once I figured out to stop.
Yeah.
Until I was sick of living that way. You know what I mean? Because I kind of liked it. It was like my blankie. We're talking a lot about recovery today, and that's cool. I don't mind that at all, but that's just where my mind keeps going, I guess.
All right, well, let's go. You worked part of that run. You worked for the World Wrestling All-Stars based out of Australia, which was run by Andrew McManus, which I think is related to Fergal McDivitt, but
he might be
same clan, I believe.
Yeah.
How did you end up? How are you ended up working down under?
It was Jeff Jarrett. Like Jeff said, hey, can you go? Look, Jeff's got me about every job I've ever had, so and including this one now. But it was Jeff said, hey, let's go do this thing, and that's why I went with them. I was working with them. I remember they were using Road Dogg, and they said they were like okay with fighting WWF on it because they said it's two common words or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what their international, but anyway, he was doing it. I thought they're going to sue you, not me, but they ended up suing me too. Anyway, No, but so yeah, Jeff got me that gig, and look, I love that gig. This was still in active addiction. Got some stories that we'll get into here if you want to talk briefly about the IWA.
How long were you down there?
So I was there actually to promote it. Myself, Stevie Ray, and Buff Bagwell went over to do a promotional tour prior to it during 9/11. And so we were stuck in Australia for several extra days. And it was ugly because me and Buff had both ran out of drugs. So but we were in Australia, so we just had to venture out. But that's what. So anyway, we went there and did a tour too. I was supposed to do another event with them in Las Vegas, I believe, but I was in jail, and I literally watched while I was in jail with all the in the squad bay with all the other incarceratees. And we watched the commercial come on for IWA pay-per-view, and there I was, promoted on there, and I was like, "Yep, not gonna make that one." And to this day, I think I might. I'm not gonna say it out loud, but I might owe them some money.
Okay, sure.
I mean, we can come up with a payment plan, dog. I can put 5 on it.
Once this Fergal shirt takes off, we'll send them all the proceeds.
We're gonna pay everybody back, Jack.
Did anybody notice you? You're in jail and the promo's on. Is anybody looking over going, wait,
well,
what?
Look, everybody knew it. I was in jail in Milton, Florida.
Oh,
I'm from Gulf Breeze, which we played Milton and football and all that. So my family's lived here my whole life. I've lived here my whole life and career. So it was the big white guy with braids. It was common knowledge who I was when I got in there.
Hard to miss.
Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned your wrestling buddy and your best friend, and I don't know why. Jeff Jarrett, his wife slapped me a couple weekends ago at Top Guy Weekend. I mean, I've been slapped by both of them now.
Yeah. Which one slapped you harder?
Karen.
No way.
I think my goal now. Well, she went straight ear.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
Straight ear.
Good stuff.
Jeff was jaw. You know, he was solid
Jeff
jaw.
dislocated your jaw. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Jeff hit you hard.
Ear was stinging for a little bit. I think I need to get Jerry Jarrett to slap me to make it the trifecta. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, who can say they've been slapped by all 3 Jarretts? That's got to be a record. All right, so
it's got to be some kind of incredibly stupid record.
I got slapped by all 3 Jarretts, so like I was this Fergal McDevitt T-shirt.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. All right, let's talk about your buddy Jeff. You said, hey, got a lot of jobs, if not all of your jobs from Jeff. He's on a lot of these shows. He's getting some wins. You're even their first world heavyweight champion there.
Yeah.
What was your first?
When I read that in the notes, I was as surprised as you were.
Really?
Well,
was this your first one?
Said, this and only. Well, no, I might have been the USWA heavyweight champion for a second. I'm not sure about that. But this was definitely. You see how quick they realized they made a mistake, though. Read the next line in them notes.
Is Jeff starting to start a promotion at this time?
Oh, I thought, no, I'm sorry. I thought the next line was going to be, good Lord have mercy.
What'd you think? Your world title reign last 3 days.
Oh, yes. You saw how, that's what I'm saying. They realized quickly, we put it on the wrong guy. Hey, and it's because like day one of this tour it was no secret I was a screw up. You know what I mean?
I think they called you a transition champ.
Okay.
Right.
That's
cool. They had transitioned the belt.
You could call me that if that's what so like I'm the same thing as like Iron Sheik. Right? Like I was
We just got to get it to somebody else.
Yeah. But the truth was it's not transition because I was the first one ever.
So well, that's a good point.
They could have just
solid logic. Yeah.
They could have just not put it on me. And then 3 days later, Commissioner Bret Hart say there's going to be a tournament. But instead, they put it on me because I was, other than Scott Steiner, I was, and Scotty was quasi-heel, quasi-babyface. I was like the top babyface because Jeff was working heel. And so I think they just thought, put it on Dogg. And then after a day or two of me being on the tour bus, and and the tour, they said, hey, maybe we shouldn't have done that.
Did you? I was going to say, did you have it in your contract to go, hey, I need to be champ if I'm coming?
Good God Almighty. You know what? I want to punch everybody in the face who has ever said that in their contract, because if that's, oh gosh, let me get off on a tangent here for a second about this, because this is a pet peeve. I also heard, if you don't want to be the champion, then there's no reason for you to be in this business. Well, there's only one champion. If that was the mentality of everybody in the industry, there'd be one person on the card. Or, yeah, one, because he's the champion. And if you can't be, then you got to go. Or what about what about everybody else? What about the guys who open the show? What about the guy who's before intermission? What about the guy who's the Intercontinental Champion? What about the guy who's the tag team champion? Like, there's so many more reasons to be in this business. And being the owner of a title was never one of them for me. Like, it was so cool. Don't get me wrong. So cool to win a title. But if you're coming into this with the CM Punk mentality of, I need to be a main event, I need to be a champion, you got bigger fish to fry, and you need to take I'm talking with the man in the mirror. Because you're a marquee and the second day. Yeah, that was cool. I don't know what all I said, but like, it just bothers me that, I had it in because I know people who have had it in their contract, and it just makes me want to hug them, not punch them. I take that back. I want to hug them and go like, oh, come on, man. He doesn't feel good enough about himself. He needs a title belt.
You want to go ahead and let loose and name some names? You want to name drop?
No,
Who's had it in their contract?
I already dropped the one that I wanted to drop, and everybody is seeing now. The chickens have come home to roost.
I was about to say, we were ahead of the curve on that. You buried him a week before all this happened.
Bro, I've been burying him for years. And I'm not kidding, because he's not a nice person. He's not a good, I don't know. I don't know. If you've been friends with somebody for so long and all of a sudden y'all are in a lawsuit over stuff and you can't just talk to it, I don't understand it. But that's not the straw that broke the camel's back for me. It was when we actually had to work with him in our 2014 run, and seeing the attitude that he had towards me and Billy. Granted, we were not Hall of Famers at the time, but we were on our way to be, for sure. And we were the New Age Outlaws. At least we'd been there as long as he had, you know what I mean? And he showed us not respect. He showed us disrespect. And so, I mean, that was that. You don't get a second chance at that. I'm showing you respect. Why aren't you showing me respect? Honky Tonk Man said, I don't body slam you. Why are you body slamming me? But the truth of it is, dude, respect is a two-way street, and if you don't give it, you dang sure ain't getting it. Not from me. And you got one shot at that with me and Billy, and it was just like he talked to us negatively, and if I hadn't had a job there, like if I wouldn't have been newly hired, I would have probably fought him. You know what I mean? And wow. I feel relatively confident that I would have come out on top, and this was prior to his training. This was prior to his karate training. So maybe I would have come out on top. Maybe I wouldn't have. But I was willing to find out. You know what I mean? That's enough burying Punk. He's burying himself good enough right now.
Well, I think if you take a Blue Chew, it lasts longer than your 3-day title reign.
Yes, it will for sure. And probably more people will be happy with that than they were when I got the title. But I think they just made a creative mistake. Jeff probably saved me and the company both and said, hey, just get it off of it.
So they didn't ever tell you anything about that. They just said, hey, we're going to make a run.
No, I didn't. Look, and
you didn't care probably, right?
I didn't give two rats rectums, because the truth of it is I was really messed up. I mean, I came back home and went to jail. So I was in a downward spiral, big time. I was for the last year. I was working with the WWE. It just continued to get, you know what I mean. Once I hit that bottom, they fired me. I hit another bottom. This place hired me. I hit another bottom. You know what I mean? It was I was falling through some bottoms before I look. And that lasted for 10 years. To be quite honest with you, it wasn't until later that I finally got sick of living that way and decided to try to do something about it.
During this time, do you remember Jeff talking about starting his own promotion at all?
No, no. You know what? And look, Jeff's a businessman. He plays stuff close to his vest. Until it's necessary to use maybe you as a resource or something like that. He'll play stuff close to his vest. So no, he didn't talk to me about it, but I was one of the as soon as I got out of jail and got back on my feet, we talked, and I was one of the first ones that got up there through him. He always looked out for me, man. He always looked out for me to this day, and so I'm thankful for him.
During this time, you defeat Konnan in a dog collar match, and then Lenny Lane and, as my dad would call him, Lodi in a triple threat match before you lose to Jeff in a steel cage match, and he wins their world title. He put himself over. 3 matches in one night. Who did you piss off?
So I didn't piss anybody off. I just didn't know any better than to go like, hey, can we do this over a couple of nights?
I mean, like, that's a good month for some people. This is one night.
Truth of it is, I was physically in good shape, like, spiritually, emotionally, all of that, bankrupt. But like I could still work a lot. I still look like some of these pictures right here at the time. So it wasn't really any big thing for me. And I was doing a lot of Oxycontin at the time. They had just come out as big, and I literally was on those bad. And that's what finally took me like, whoa, I went to jail, so I didn't die, I guess. but yeah, so this was a bad time for me. I wouldn't have said anything I wouldn't have said no. I would have just gone and done it, figured out how to do it. You know what I mean? And let's get back on that bus so I can do some more drugs.
You're putting Jeff over every night on the next tour of Europe.
I know.
Which included England and Ireland, home of world champ Fergal McDevitt.
Yes.
Were you having a lot of fun in these matches on the European tour? Were you digging Europe at all?
Yeah, look, I love Europe for real. I really do. I love the breakfast. I love the camaraderie, the people there. It's a smaller country, and so it's like a tight knit country. You know what I mean?
Right.
That if that makes any sense. Like our country's so spread out, we can afford to be divided and literally hate each other right now for some reason. But divided and people be different from everywhere. Like everybody's so nice over there. The breakfast, I love their baked beans for breakfast with fried eggs, and I talk about food a lot because I'm fat, and it's a priority. But like that's, I do. I love going over there. And so, yeah, I was having fun on those matches. I was having what I perceived to be fun at the time. In retrospect, I wish I would have taken it all in more and kind of, gone around and done more things. But it was just about partying. You know what I mean? It was just, I was on that slide, dog.
You talked about it's a tight-knit group. Was it kind of like, back when the states were divided up into territories more? It's like, this is a little bit of, hey, we all know the run. We're all doing the same run. The fans can go to multiple cities. We're all in this area.
Yeah. And so I don't mean it's like a Rhode Island. It's a little bigger.
Yeah.
But you can go from one place to another pretty easily over there, and, across the borders very easily and all that. So it's, I do. I love it there. I was over there, and it just was reminded to me because the Queen passed away. In 1989, I was in Wales, Great Britain, I believe that is Wales, Great Britain. If I'm wrong on that, somebody catch me. And we stood in formation, the silent drill team, and I was the guide on bearer with the platoon commander. We stood in formation as the Queen walked in front of us, and as she walks in front, you pop to attention and everything. But I saw a picture on Facebook that I was like, holy mackerel! I wasn't in the picture, but it was the silent drill team that I traveled with, and I was like, wow, I forgot the Queen was arm's
Wow.
length away from me. That the one time in Wales. Also, when I drank goat urine in Wales as a
So-
hazing. Yeah.
I think my headphones went out. It sounded
No,
like
no,
you
no.
said.
I drank goat urine
Oh, yep.
in
came
Wales.
Yeah, they're hot now. What was that a bet?
No, it was a hazing thing from the
Oh.
British Royal Marines to the American Marines. I wasn't the only one.
Salty?
I gotta say, not bad. No, what they do, there's a huge leak, and their deal is you got to
Sure.
eat the leak, and like it's a huge leak, and from what I understood, they
Oh,
syringed goat urine into the leak, and we all had to eat the leak. So
the
I
leak,
don't
the
know.
vegetable.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah,
you
yeah,
meant
yeah.
the goat was taking a huge leak, and you
Well, he
were.
did in my mouth. But this part was
This is totally
no.
separate.
Yeah, this is no. It was a huge
Boy.
I guess like a leek is like an onion or whatever. I don't really know.
Yeah.
It's not good, but it was tradition. I was told to take a big, huge bite out of it, so I did.
This was.
I hope you're happy, British Royal Marines.
You talk about a roller coaster life. You're
Oh,
steps
man.
from the
Hey.
Queen, and then you're drinking
yeah.
goat pee.
Hey,
This is-
and those guys, the British Royal Marines, were friggin' awesome. They drank more than anybody I ever been around in my life, other than you and other than you and Pondwater Dave. But yeah, and then the next day they'd be out there just training with us, and it was just like, were you not just
Yeah.
pissed drunk last night?
They're
And
ready
now
to
you're
go.
like, I don't know, man. They were trained properly.
Well, let's get this out of the way since we did
All
bring
right.
him up. At some point, you even wrestled CM Punk in the
Yeah.
IWA Mid-South, and you lost to him in Dayton, Ohio. Any memories of that? Anything you want
So
to say?
all I honestly remember of that is I remember that I did work with him. I don't have any memory of the the match or any
Right.
memorable thing. I would have probably been high during both of those two, or definitely during both of those time periods. And just like today, nothing he does is memorable. Whammy!
I'll let that simmer for those in the back.
Yeah,
for just a
yeah.
second.
Lay out.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to be in the lawsuit.
Hey, lay out for dramatic effect.
That is in early 02, and you're scheduled for
Yep.
World Wrestling All-Stars pay-per-view debut in America, and well, you're not there. That's what we
No,
were
I
talking
was
about.
not there. I was incarcerated.
It's reported in the Observer, which you love, at the time that you were, quote, arrested for a probation violation in Pensacola and under house arrest for the next 6 months. Is that true? How close, if not?
So very close, because I did do all of that. But I was actually in jail for 6 months prior to that. So my tongue.
You weren't in house arrest. You were in arrest.
I was under arrest, but then I was under house arrest for 6 months. So it was true. You know what I mean? What they reported was true. I appreciate. That's the first time they've ever said anything nice about me.
They finally got something
Finally
right.
got
It's
something
because you
right.
missed a pay-per-view
Well,
for
look,
jail.
guys, they're not right or wrong when they're just giving their opinion of me. They just don't like me, and I don't know. I don't know what I did.
All right.
Maybe I probably did something though.
So we mentioned if Jeff had brought it up before now, when do you finally find out, hey, Jeff's going to be starting a promotion?
After I got out of jail, like when I was on house arrest, Jeff had started it, and we had been in conversations about, hey man, I'm going to be off of this in a couple weeks, and I can do, you know what I mean? And so it wasn't long after that IWA thing, and again, I was in and out of consciousness for all this period of time, but one happened right after the other.
I know you're excited to get involved in it, but what's your thoughts? I mean, what was your reaction internally? Jeff's going to start a promotion. Can he do it? Do you think it's going to be successful? What are you thinking?
Yeah. Well, look, I've trusted Jeff Jarrett ever since I met him, and that may be I kind of feel that way about a lot of people. That may be a fault, but he's never steered me in the wrong direction. I've always trusted Jeff's business acumen, and I believe with all my heart he can do anything he sets his mind to. And truth be told, when he got released and I got hired into this position, I knew for a fact I'm underqualified if we're two in the running. Then I learned, oh no, he was in a higher position than I was, because he's a smart dude, man. His brain works in a different on a different level than like mine does. Mine barely works on any level at all, but he's a smart guy that has big picture vision. And I kind of just have take your temperature and what's happening right now, and we can do something with that. But as far as tomorrow, I don't know, you know? So yeah, I knew Jeff could do it.
So you were talking about TNA, and what did you think of this business model, weekly pay-per-views compared to weekly television?
Well, it was definitely new at the time, but I do think if you think about it, it was literally dipping your toe into the water of a streaming service, or that idea of a weekly or monthly pay by subscription kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I think it was kind of a weird way of moving in the right direction, the way things are now. And so look, while it was different, again, wasn't thinking about business at all.
Right.
Got told a figure. I'll give you this much a week if you come work here. You dang right, I'm there. Because that much a week could keep the lights on, and we drove every week. Me and my dad and brother drove every week. Sometimes we rode with Paul Bearer, Percy. Sometimes it was just us. And so, look, I had a blast doing it. Yes, I knew Jeff could do it. The business model was wonky, but it didn't matter to me because I didn't care.
You're in the
Just
business
being
with your
quite
friend.
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Paying the bills,
And
like you said.
yeah, and things were changing. You know what I mean? It was a growing part of this whole. And look, I'm just an ex-wrestler who talks about his drug use a lot, but it seems like it was a changing time in the period of content consumption and how you find and purchase that content. And so I think actually it will be looked on upon positively when you look in retrospect to that model. Now, maybe that model gets evolves a little, you know what I mean, and makes it more prominent, but it was a good try, you know what I mean? And so I think it was kind of a step in that direction anyway.
As far as you getting back into the ring and getting back into the business, was that 6 months? Did it end up being healthy for you? I know you said it, it took a while to set in, but was that a healthy time?
No, I didn't do anything physically. I wasn't working out. I wasn't doing anything. So I gained weight. When I got to TNA, I was out of shape. I'll never forget, like, the first big match I had was with Jeff over this whole, the whole thing. And me and him always had an angle going. So it was, I was just bad out of shape, and he carried me through it. And I remember 2 times in my career that I couldn't carry myself through the match physically, and I kind of got drugged through it. And one of them is here with Jeff Jarrett, and another one is down the road a little bit, but that's still TNA with Kurt Angle, and the match was fought over Jeff Jarrett. So those were the 2 times I literally felt like, man, I was a hindrance in the ring rather than an addition. You know what I mean? And it was just because I don't have wind. I didn't have any wind. I was fat, out of shape. I mean,
Well,
that's just the truth. Okay.
Serious topic. In early of May, Davey Boy Smith passes away.
Yeah.
Was this something that was a wake-up call for you, or were you still too much in it?
Yeah, I was in it, and it was a reason to get high, to be quite honest with you. It was just like anything else was.
Another excuse.
Time. Yeah, it was just another excuse. Because look, I knew Davey Boy, and I traveled with Davey Boy and Owen, and just great friends for, in a pivotal time of my life when I just got into the business strong. I was with them more than I was with my family. You know what I mean? Like literally every night, almost 300 days a year with those guys. So yeah, it broke my heart, and so. Poor pitiful me, pour me another drink. You know what I mean? That's the way. I didn't process anything. I didn't let anything sink in and deal with it. I doped up and climbed back into an oblivion under a rock somewhere. You know what I mean? But yeah, it broke my heart for sure. But no, it didn't wake me up. That's for sure.
When you come into TNA and you're talking with Jeff about saying, hey, I got this promotion, we want you to come in, Um, how are you on discussing money? Did he ask for a friend discount, or is he just trying to help you out? Was it
No,
hard to
no,
separate
no.
getting back into the business with your friendship?
No, look, it's not at all. He gave me an offer that I thought was fair, and I took it. And that's look, I would have probably taken half that, but I, he didn't offer half that, so we didn't have to go there. But look, I wasn't the highest paid guy in the room. That's for dang sure. But I wasn't the lowest paid guy either, or I might have been on par with that guy, closer than the top guy. But he took care of me, and that's I had no problem accepting the offer. And again, it wasn't huge numbers, but it paid my bills and kept me high until I got high in a production meeting and got fired.
Have you? That'll usually do it.
That'll
Have
do
you
it.
ever? Have you ever had a problem come up when it's maybe dealing with numbers with a friend? Hey, we're friends, but we got to do a business deal. Has that ever been an issue, or has it been smooth sailing?
Not over numbers. Like, yes, friendship and employment have come into play
Mhm.
on a couple different occasions. I'm not going to talk about them specifically. It's with a couple of different people, but it never over money. I'll say that. I think it's just over philosophy and different scenarios that popped up at the time, but different things have come between my friends and the work, but it was never a dollar figure.
You mentioned going in and finding out he's actually ahead of me. He's above me in this
Yeah,
totem
yeah.
pole. Were you ever worried? I mean, you said you always knew you trusted him and knew he was going to take care of you.
Yeah.
Was that ever a thing? Hey, my buddy and his father's going to be my boss, basically.
Not for me. It
Yeah,
wasn't at all. You know what I mean? Like it's honestly, that's just what that I always looked up to Jeff
that was the
as
gig.
above me. I still do, to be quite honest with you, and that's it's just because I put him on a pedestal, and I shouldn't do that because it's not fair to him. But I just look up to him. I always have. I've always respected him in a couple of different ways that are unique to him that make me feel like he's respectable. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. I always looked up to him, so him being my boss was not a problem at all.
When he starts calling you about this new promotion, did you start watching it? Are you going, let me see what I'm getting into?
No,
What
no,
did you think of the
I had,
shows? You just
I
jumped
had
right in.
never, I had never seen it before, and I didn't care. I really didn't. I knew that. Look, I'd worked for him. Yeah, I'd worked for him in USWA, so I knew that. I knew it. They could at least do that. You know what I mean? And now with the technology and all the advances technologically and the experiences they've had, I knew it was going to be better than that, and I was actually okay with doing that. I'd have gone back to studio wrestling because it was real fun and intimate and cool. But like I said, the money was decent. I trust Jeff. I knew they were gonna give it a whirl, the old college try, and the only thing we could do is try to hope it takes off. You know what I mean?
Did you talk babyface, heel storylines or anything? Or was it, hey, when you're ready to go, we'll just bring you in and let's see what happens?
Yeah, no, no. He said you'll come in. Well, we talked about that, and of course we talked about my first thing will be with you. You know what I mean? And it was because it was what we felt like. We did it in Memphis too. We felt like it was some closure to that Millie Vanilli story that started in '95. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so we always felt like whatever promotion we were in, we had to go ahead and close that book. Before we could move on. And so I think we felt like, let's do this one more time. When my dad was the commissioner or something, I forget what my dad was exactly, but him and Jeff got into it. And then I hit the ring in a bullet mask, and my other brother Steve came out with a bullet mask on. And there was a whole bullet deal there. I don't remember step for step, but then I got into the match with Jeff where he drugged me through the thing and I almost died.
Are
God,
you,
not being able to breathe is the worst. You know what I mean? Like
that's,
literally still being moving, but not being able to catch your breath and move and just kind of being steered into things.
wait, if you're working with Bullet, are y'all the original Bullet Club? I mean,
Of course we were.
I
Of
feel like
course,
we got to take credit for that, right?
of course we were. And we need to put like a bullet mask and then put Bullet Club, OG Bullet Club.
Buddy,
Maybe two O's, like double OG.
our, our merch department is going to be hopping after this episode,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
Were you surprised that Jeff brought Russo in?
No, No, I knew of Jeff and Vince's relationship not only from WWF at the time, but also WCW. So I wasn't surprised at all. A lot of people feel one way or another about Russo. Russo was always good to me. Vince Russo and I get along really well. Like we had one brush up, but it was no big deal, and we were over that, and that was for 25 years ago, and so I've always liked Vince, and no, I wasn't surprised at all when Jeff brought him in. Look, Vince is going to try some wacky things. He's going to throw a lot of things at the wall, and some are going to stick and some aren't. That's just his way. And everybody who used to be a booker is always a critic of another booker. You know what I mean? Sure. It's always, and now even the fans are critics of the booker. So, what do I know?
One Ron Killings, your former tag team partner, he got an early push. I guess you had to be excited about that.
Rightfully so, man. What a stud he is in real life, and what a star he is in the wrestling world. And look, now he's got an album out and everything. I've always thought Ron Killings was money. I believe Jeff Jarrett thinks the same thing, and I think that's probably the reason they put it right on him early on. And look, to me, that's he's got the Midas touch, man. Everything Ron Killings touches turns to gold.
He's some of his even throwaway stuff is genius.
Oh yeah,
gets kind of
and it's so
over.
funny.
He's so funny,
comedic. Yeah, it's when I wrote SmackDown, like literally, I was like, okay, I'll take AJ Styles, and I want Ron Killings, and I want, you know what I mean? I was picking who I wanted, and he was top on the list. Not because I knew he was going to main event anything, but because I knew he can do literally anything. If I want him to main event, he can do that and rap down to the ring and get you tapping your toes on the way. If I want him to be funny in a backstage, he can do that. He's a carpenter. He can do anything, and make it gold.
Any talk of you guys getting back together when you first came back?
No, there was probably talks about us getting out together out in the car and smoking one or something like that. But no, look, Ronnie's kind of cut from the same cloth. That's one thing I love about him. We'd go at catering and come back and sit down and had the exact same thing on our trays. It was just kind of me and Ronnie just kind of jive like that, both from the South, both black, both, eating the same stuff. You didn't even pop on the both black thing, Cassio. You were reading ahead, obviously. I apologize.
You said layout for effect. You said layout.
Yeah, I love truth to death. Yeah, look, I think I wanted to be together with him. That's for dang sure. Look, he was my first pick when Billy got hurt. He was my first pick, and he would always be my first pick because I was older and he could work his tail off. So yeah, look, Ron Killings is a star to this day. 67 years old. Looks like he's 25. I don't know how old he is.
Did you ever at this time reach out or have any contact with WWE, or were you just taking it week to week and hey, I'm happy to be here?
I wasn't talking to any of them at all. Like I had moved on, and it was like, okay, I'm going to do this now. And I was in hopes that this would succeed and I could kind of grow old here. You know what I mean? And and if it weren't been for drugs, I probably would have.
Did you ever take a peek over to WWE, see Billy and Chuck, the tag team that was going on?
No, they called me to be the best man at the wedding, at Billy and Chuck's wedding. WWE called me. And I had just gotten the gig with TNA. And so I said, well, let me check with TNA and make sure it's cool. And Jeff said, yeah, you can do whatever you want to. So I called them back and they were like, okay, we're going to give you such and such amount of money. And I said, well, that doesn't sound like a very good deal. Like you want me in that picture for something, don't you? It's like, I'd appreciate if you doubled that. And then we'll have a conversation. And so then they were like, oh, we heard you were hard to deal with or something. Oh. It's like, okay, no. I said, you called me to be in the thing. Somebody threw my name out there. Now I want you to pay me like somebody threw my name out there,
right?
And not like y'all picked a friggin' name out of a hat. You know what I mean?
You weren't begging for their gig; they were calling you.
Yeah, they were coming to me and literally lowballed the fire out of me to try to see if I would bite because I was desperate. You know what I mean? They know when you're down, I can
Yeah.
offer him less money. And so that's business acumen, just heartless.
So you didn't turn you turned it down, but it was
Yeah,
money,
I
not
ended up
because
turning
you
it down
didn't
and
want to
not,
be involved.
I turned it down and didn't go. It was because they wouldn't give me what I asked for, and I didn't ask for anything incredible. It was just double what they offered me.
Speaking of money, there's a lot of talk of money problems and finance problems early on in TNA. Are you aware of the fraud of the pay-per-view numbers the Jarretts were dealing with? I mean,
I
you
was
said
not.
before you're not a business guy.
If I'm being totally honest with you, what you just told me is the first time I've ever heard that.
Really?
I'm totally honest with you, and I just haven't. I've never heard that. I knew there was financial woes and there was going to be a new financier or whatever, but I never heard there was
No
illegalities.
specifics.
Yeah, were there illegalities or just alleged illegalities? You don't know?
They were.
Alleged.
Yeah, we'll say
Bunny
alleged.
ears. I wanted to say alleged out loud. Cassio
Yeah,
just did the bunny ears.
I forgot there's people listening as well, not just on YouTube. Okay, at any point, did Jeff or Jerry tell you, "Hey, we're not going to make it. We're on the struggle bus. This is going downhill fast," or this is part of you
No.
not being in the business mode at all?
And also that's not something that the Jarretts will just go talking about. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like they will talk about it inside, behind closed doors. I don't think that's anything a smart businessman would be talking about. Jeff and I are very good friends. That doesn't mean he would come to me and tell me that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? That's his personal business stuff that if he needed me to, I could listen to that, but I don't know that I could offer him any assistance with it other than being a sounding board for him,
And not that you would leak it, but if that's something that starts getting around the locker room, then it causes chaos.
For sure. And so they wouldn't want that to get out, in my opinion.
It takes an influx of cash to bring people in late September. One of those is you. Was it a money issue, or like you said earlier, you were just waiting on the 6 months?
I was just waiting to be able to do it legally and travel and cross state lines and so forth and so on. And people who have been on paper listening to this, both of them know. Both of them know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so it was just a kind of a on hold. Took that opportunity to get new gear made, and the gear was very cheap and inexpensive, and it looked as such. But that was where I was at the time, man. Like, I'm not going to spend a bunch of money on gear. I'll go out there and get my camo pants and do whatever I got to do. If John Cena can wrestle in jorts, surely I could wrestle in these camouflage pants.
Man, see, if you would have had the wedding money, you could have got you some good looking gear.
I got me some jorts.
You do an interview with Alex Marvez, now with AEW, regarding your issues with drugs at the time. Why did you feel at that point, hey, I need to address these in public?
To be quite honest, I don't remember that. And had I wouldn't have addressed them in public. But I don't know who Alex Marvez is, and I don't remember doing that interview.
Really?
But that didn't mean I didn't do it.
Well, in the interview,
I don't remember a lot of things I did.
In the interview, you brought up how you had found Jesus.
Okay, well that part was true.
What was that? So you don't remember the interview. So I was going to say, what was that process like, talking about, hey, I got drug issues.
Yeah.
I found Jesus, but.
So the truth be told, I found Jesus, or I got saved in the community. I got saved and still used drugs for a while. So it begs, people will
you were
get
still
into
fighting
a philosophy debate about whether I was saved or not. That's not what I'm going to do here, the wrong venue. But I was going to church and trying to live better, but I was continuing to dabble in drug abuse, and not just drug use, drug abuse. And so it wasn't till later that I got clean that then my real relationship with a higher power, I don't want to make anybody angry, whom I choose to call God, that then I formed a relationship with that higher power. And so now it's about, for me, it's about spirituality and trying to live in a way that would be pleasing. And for those of you that don't believe, if this was all true, if the 10 commandments or whatever are all true, like, wouldn't you want to live that way? Doesn't say to do. So there are some stuff in there that say to do harm to others. I believe that's Old Testament. That was more about the law, and the New Testament is more about the love. I don't know why I'm getting on my soapbox here about the Bible, but I do think I want to live in a way that would please God. When I get to the pearly gates, I want him to say, "You did good, kid. You screwed it up at first, but you finished strong." And that's what I hope he says. And if he doesn't, then y'all can all laugh at me.
So, but at this time, you like you said, you probably were saved, but you were you still had your battle going. I mean, it's not a snap your fingers and we're all perfect.
Well, see, that's what I say this in my testimony all the time. I wish that upon baptism, like John the Baptist, when he, you know what I mean, when he baptized Jesus and Jesus came up, everything changed, and that just wasn't the way. I wish it was that way for me. I wish. But the baptism is it's a ceremony. It's symbolic. You know what I mean? I wish it were, I came up out of the water and all my transgressions were washed away. They were, but I was still sinning, if we're talking about spirituality and religion here. And I'm sorry I took you down that path.
No, this is part of it. This is the run. I mean, that's when we brought it up. You know, that
I just know I know a lot of people don't believe the same way I do, and I'm not trying to preach to them or offend them. I'm just stating my case. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just interesting. We just brought it up. It's an interesting story. Like you said, you don't even remember it because you're battling with these drugs. Meanwhile, you're still talking about Jesus, and you're addressing, hey, I've got issues with drugs, which was the first public deal of, he's
in WWE, WWF at the time, they wanted me to go. Brett Favre had just come out about Vicodin or whatever, and they suggested, hey, why don't you go through rehab and we'll film it and document it and it'll be a big thing. Wow. And at the time I said, are you crazy? My kids would see that thing. And that's where I was in my head. My kids saw it every friggin' day. You know what I mean? But
it was reality to them.
It was their reality. And had I known that, I would have done that. And maybe that one would have worked. Or maybe not. And I would have had to go on and do what I had to do. But crazy. Steve Kaufman said he just sounds like an AFS exclusive sometimes. I don't know what that even means. It's provocative.
Here's what our crack team back here has found the match of you and CM Punk. So maybe that's an AFS exclusive later.
Wait, is that the match with CM Punk or that the match with Jeff Jarrett?
Now I think he's talking about CM Punk. That might be a bonus show sometime.
Wow. Okay.
We go match over the Punk episode.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to some beautiful bean footage. Okay. First, we're about to get to your debut in TNA. We have the footage from that. We are going to show that.
Awesome.
All right, let's look at some footage. We do have the actual footage of your debut in TNA.
Lord,
so if you're
mercy.
Watching along on YouTube, you can check this out
if you're
with
watching along on YouTube, don't.
Do you remember this day? Are you excited?
I do not. I cannot see it, for one thing, but I do not remember the day at all. I was hoping I would be able to see it, and then it would jog my memory or yog my memory. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Oh, there it is.
We got a Jeremy Borash sign right out of the gate.
Jeff Jarrett. He's heading to the back.
Gauntlet.
Oh.
He issued the challenge, and now Jeff Jarrett is heading up the ramp and heading to the backstage area to confront the NWA's boss, Bullet Bob Armstrong. Fortunately, we've got a camera following Jarrett in the backstage area.
Bullet!
Hey!
I'm not waiting any longer. Get your ass out of your office. Come here, Bullet. I'm going to bring the pins off your front.
There's the Bullet!
I'm blown up already.
It's a masked Bullet! Unleashing the
mask,
offense
you got
on
an
Jeff
NWA
Jarrett
TNA shirt
backstage.
He has taken it to him. Look at this.
And now coming out through
they're
the
already
curtain
doing
here
it,
to the
you
arena
know.
area.
Yeah,
Here
because
comes
look,
the
he's
Bullet.
got to shut me down
Jarrett
here so we
asked
can get
for
to
him,
it.
and he got him.
What a day, double day is having today.
I'm back here, Jeff.
Jarrett turns the tide.
Oh.
Before
Good Lord.
Well, that big punch, you know what?
We know that looks awful familiar to me. There's that big right hand that took him down.
Oh, snap. The real Slim Shady, please stand up.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
Brian James.
You know, Mike, I gotta admit, that
You got something on your chin there. What is
I don't think you were
that?
the only one.
That was a ponytail on my chin. That's Brian James.
That answered the question.
I was trying to catch
Bob
my breath here.
Armstrong's son, Brian James.
Well, I'll tell you what, NWA TNA didn't wait long. We got our answer right off the bat.
I don't mind telling you.
Let's listen to Brian.
It's been a long time, and I'm a little blown up, to be quite honest with you.
But welcome back.
But I'll tell you this. 7 years ago, in this very city of Nashville, a man called the Roadie walked out of the World Wrestling Federation
Man. This is
with
emotional
what
for
he
me.
thought was his friend, Double J Jeff Jarrett.
Long-term association
Ooh.
between those two.
Not really,
Now,
guys.
in
Look,
doing that,
Jeff gave me a job here.
I almost committed career suicide. Jeff, I kept going. Then I joined a
lot of
little
people would
faction
argue
that
NWO
revolutionized
revolutionized it or the click.
professional wrestling
I'm going to say
called
Degeneration X. My
X.
story.
I'm proud of the fact that I was a member, but not so proud of some of the things I've done. You see, more than just the hairdo's changed, I've had a change of heart. But there's no change of heart when it comes to you, Jeff Jarrett. I have never forgiven you, and then you're going to jump on my daddy.
Talking about,
And when
that's
you
a
jump
shoot
on
right there. If
the
you fight
head
one of us
of
at the
the
gas
James
station,
gang,
every
you
foot
jump
and
on all
fist
of
is
them,
kicking,
Jack.
hitting
He's talking about NWA representative, his father, Bob Armstrong.
Now, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not done. I'm going to go back there, and I'm going to find me a partner.
Whoa, wait, what?
And I'm
Here
going to
we
do
go.
what I do best, and that's wear tag team gold around
Whoa.
my waist.
Whoa!
Oh, I don't know.
Step back, Jeremy.
Already
I'm not
telling people what
done.
to do.
Give the man his space, JB.
Reach out, reach out.
So you see, it's me. It's that D-O-double. Oh, no, that'll get me in trouble, see? At birth, my mama called me Brian Gerard James. So if BG James is good enough for my mama, it's good
That's a
enough
triple
for me.
G.
And the
That's
G
triple G
stands
there.
for get it, got it.
Why would I go to that back turnbuckle?
Let's see. Well, those are your big fans.
BG James is going to
Green
be.
right here.
What a
I was fat, that's for sure.
So, well, you knew you were blew up. You knew that
Yeah.
right out of the gate, but do you
I even
remember
said it.
anything else about that?
Yeah, no, I do remember that, and it was fun, and I was blown up, and I wish my promo would have been a little better, but I was trying to catch my breath, and like it was what it was for the time, like it did the job. Now I'm there, and the new name's there, and here we go. And I don't know that I even found a tag team partner, and we claimed tag team gold, but I know I found two partners that we're going to talk about here in just a minute after this break.
Did you? Did you?
I have no idea if that was 15 minutes
What?
since our last one.
What did you think? As
I just erroneously tossed to break.
right now, it was a solid 9. It was a solid 9. We
Oh Lord.
we got you in rec tech right before the footage,
Okay.
so we're good. We're good for a second. Let's go over this, and then we'll get another one in. We're good.
Okay.
As we saw, Jeff Jarrett comes out, calls out your dad. Bullet Bob is there. I
Put
mean,
his
you're
hands
all
on
in
my
it,
father.
which is ridiculous.
Jeff Jarrett, let me tell you one thing. You don't put your hands on my father without me putting my hands on you.
Come on.
Sorry, I was in
The OG
promo
Bullet
mode.
Club
When
was
I'm in
formed.
promo mode, it's best just to let me finish.
Now look, I thought it was decent rewatching it with you. This is according to some notes. They said there wasn't a big pop when you took the mask off.
Well, I don't
What
know.
did you,
I mean,
do you remember thinking about it? Do you even think about it when you're in promo mode?
Not really. I mean, well, there's nothing
Yeah.
you can do about it. So why?
You're just
You know what I
rolling.
mean? Like I'm gonna what am I going to do? Go, oh God, I thought you guys were going to react bigger. You know what I mean? Like there's,
Right.
you're there. It's happening. I didn't hear them blow the roof off the joint either. But I think they knew half of them already. So I don't know. I mean, I
What do you remember?
I've heard some really loud pops in my career, and that was not one of them. So I don't disagree.
Do you remember about going backstage after it's done? Do you remember anything? Hey, is anybody talking to you? How'd it go? What'd you think? Or what's going down?
I'm sure everybody said, "Oh, that was great. Thank you. That was great." And then when I walked through, they were like, "Oh my God, he's got fat as crap, and he was slow." And you know what I mean? I'm sure, because look, that's how it is. Especially when I came in as like a, kind of like a get from their standpoint, because I had just been the road dog, and so I was kind of so when I came in, none of the younger guys were going to say that to my face, you know what I mean? But and even my dad was just like, "Oh no, it was fine, you did it, it was fine," you know what I mean? He never put it over, but I would say like, "Did that suck?" And he was like, "No, it's fine, mission accomplished," you know what I mean? Like it was, excuse me, it was very much, I'm still burping up those crystal burgers I told you about earlier. Those double cheese crystals, though, they were so good. The bottom, when I pulled the thing out, the bottom whole bun was just stuck to the thing with cheese on it. Yeah, so I had to get that out with my hook.
Oh, you didn't let the cheese go away. Well, you're a professional big boy if you're scraping the cheese out of a crystal box.
Well, this ain't my first rodeo.
You mentioned it earlier. You ended up teaming up with Buff Bagwell, who says he's back for a second chance, as Marcus Alexander Bagwell. What did you think about teaming up with Buff at that time?
Do not remember that one bit. Don't.
Oh, okay.
Not even one time do I remember teaming with Buff Bagwell. But I'm not saying, hey, look, I'm not saying I didn't. I'm just saying I don't remember.
That's just a product of the time for your life.
Yes.
We'll say that.
Yeah.
Right after this match, I don't know if you remember this either, but Screech from Saved by the Bell, he's going to wrestle for TNA.
Yeah.
I mean, anything you want to?
Hey, it was scoop them up. It was just scoop them up, and let's get whatever we can do. Whoever's downtrodden and fallen in their lives, just scoop them up over here and put them on TV. It was basically celebrity rehab before celebrity rehab. It's what TNA was, but. Bless Screech's heart.
You needed Dr. Drew there for all of y'all.
Yeah,
he should have been the commissioner.
We needed Dr. Dre there. But yeah, I remember Screech coming. I remember. I mean, he was
it. You didn't hang out or anything?
No, heck no. I can't imagine. Look, I'm more of like an AC Slater guy.
Ironically, again, that's good. Well,
I can't believe I remember the name.
That's a good pull for you. Lisa Turtle. Are you a Lisa Turtle fan?
Oh, which one was she?
She was the African-American lady.
Yes.
Screech's girlfriend. Or Screech's crush.
Fan. And I
thought
she was available because Screech. She liked Screech.
If she'll even remotely look at Screech.
I got a chance.
And then we got Kelly Kapowski, who was with Zach.
Look, all the women were beautiful on there, and I was younger.
And then Jesse ended up being in Showgirls.
All the men were beautiful too, except for Screech. Am I the only one saying that?
Yeah, no.
You laid out.
Mr. Belding, are you in on Mr. Belding? You in on Mr. Belding?
Actually get text from Mr. Belding a lot.
What?
Huge. That's a true story. Huge wrestling fan, Mr. Belding. Met him a million times. Great guy. Honestly. Huge wrestling fan.
When I lived in Los Angeles, I saw him perform with what is that band? The heavy metal band
Dick
who are
Van
fake.
Dykes?
No. They're the heavy metal band that makes fun of all heavy metal bands. They're like 80s bands. Anyway, he got up there jamming with them. They used to play at the Key Club. Steel Panther. Yeah, Steel Panther.
Steel Panther.
Are you familiar with Steel Panther?
I am familiar with Steel Panther. I didn't know that Mr. Belding had sat in with Steel Panther.
Oh, yeah. Huh? How about that? I think that was the same night Mini Kiss jammed with him. It was a wild night.
Mini Kiss. It was a wild night.
Speaking of a wild...
Minnie Gene Simmons went home with me.
Oh, come on. Huh? You got to have an LA story, and if it's Minnie Gene Simmons, you're in.
I would love to have, this is a story for another time, but I would love to have Steve Regal go to a Mini Kiss concert. That's a story for another time. Continue.
Yeah, I don't want any other headlines besides that. That's going to be brought up at some point in the future. Also, we're bringing him up again. CM Punk made his debut in TNA on that same night.
Somebody beat him up that day too, I think. I think Teddy Hart beat him up.
Did anybody get bit? Do we know?
At the White Trash Cafe. No, I think Evander Holyfield started that after this, biting folks. But let me sidebar there for a second. Yeah, he bit him. Yeah, we're in a fight. Like, I don't
no rules, just right.
I don't know if you guys have ever been in one or not, but it's pretty much not the Queensberry rules, guys. If we're in a fight, I'm going to pull your eyeball out of your whole head. And that's legal too.
Chairs are legal. Fights are legal.
Everything's legal. In a street fight, it's called survival of the fittest, young men. Y'all, you young men with daggum man buns now, you need to learn how to pull somebody's eyeball out of the socket. Hey,
I didn't know eyeball gouging was your go-to move.
Oh, bro. Hey, you want to win a fight? Put your thumb about second knuckle deep in somebody's eyeball.
That'll shut it down.
See how quick the punches stop flying.
Shut it down, son. Also, making his debut in TNA that night, this is incredible, is your buddy Sean Waltman. Yeah. So it's like a reunion in the locker room. You got Waltman, Jeff, and Scott Hall's in the back, I believe. So this is a huge reunion. What's it like? We
also had, for a short period of time, Mr. Perfect was there. Curt Hennig was the only time I got to work with Curt Hennig. And man, this was just, I'd never met him. My brother Scott had never met him. My dad had never met him. We were all there. He came in and he said, "Where are the Armstrongs sitting?" And we sat upstairs in a little kayfabe place where we got out of the way, and we all three put our bags there and we all sat there. He came right to us. And dude, every time we were together, it was almost like he was Brad. You know what I mean? It was weird. Wow. It was like he fit our family so well and we fit him. And it was just like, this has got to be, this is the best thing ever. Cause I was a huge fan of his too, you know?
No, knowing it's been he's a notorious ribber. Any ribs?
Yeah. No, he wasn't. It wasn't. I think people back in the day ribbed people that they didn't like or that they wanted to control a little bit, or like say, "Hey, what the flip? Watch what you do." You know what I mean? I don't think people ribbed, because like they ribbed hard back in the day. It was stuff like you'd find your bag locked to the ceiling somehow. You know what I mean? And you're the last one in the building, and so but stuff like that, I don't think they would do it. People didn't do that to their friends. You know what I mean? People did it to me early on because they didn't like me because I was new and loud and boisterous, and they wanted me to shut up.
Did it work?
So they roofied me and shaved my eyebrows.
Oh, that's what happened.
I'm just kidding. They didn't shave my eyebrows.
You don't know what happened or not.
Yeah. I woke up feeling great.
Let's go.
Feeling great. And I won't stop calling him.
It was not Recovery PM that you took. You would take part of a Gauntlet for the Gold, and you were eliminated by Brian Lee.
Well, couldn't be eliminated by a finer friend, The Undertaker. I like Brian Lee.
Is it hard to make an impact on your first night when you're programmed with a top guy like Double J, and then you lose later on in this Gauntlet to Brian?
Look, not to me. Look, maybe, but not to me. I didn't think of it that way. I stated in my union address up top when I didn't get a pop at all that was brought to my attention. Thank you. That I said, I'm going for tag team gold. That's what I said. That's what I do best. So technically in singles competition, I shouldn't be worth a crap.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not any good.
So for those that have not seen it, it's a 20-man, two partners. They all come in at different positions, and the last two bring in their partners for a regular match for the titles. Is this a little overbooked?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's interesting. I just think it's a little confusing. Like for one thing, I don't remember that at all. For another thing, even if I had, I wouldn't have remembered the stipulation and how you get to the actual match. Just you saying that, I got confused and I thought, wait, what? So there we are.
So you don't remember at some point you all get busted open real bad, and there's a shot of you with the trainers. This might be why you forgot this. Do you have any recollection of that?
No. Is there footage of that?
Well, hopefully, maybe we can find it. But
If not, just send it to me.
this might be why you forgot it. You got busted in the head.
Right. See, this is where this sound effect would come into play too.
Yes.
Because look, this was all an active addiction, and I was just like we've talked about, just moving along. You'll forget about me after I've been gone. Okay. Yeah.
I was signed up for more
That
of
felt
that, by
good
the way.
for a minute.
It
Yeah,
did.
but I don't think I know the rest of the song.
I think you were in the range there.
completely.
You were
No,
you were
I
in
was
there.
I was close.
You were in the pocket.
I was around there. I could, if a tune had a handle on it, I'd carry that song.
Later that night, Ron Killings retains the NWA title over Jerry Lynn, and you come out with the mic, and Killings decks you. I thought y'all were friends. I thought y'all were friends.
I thought we were too.
Jarrett comes out for a double team, but Hall and Waltman save you, clear out Double J and Killings. I'm not sure. Are you a heel at this time? Are you babyface? Did anything make sense? What's happening?
I think that was. I don't know. Okay, I don't know.
It was just happening.
Just things.
Let the
were
crowd
happening.
decide, right?
I was just doing. Yeah, look, I know Ronnie was the baby face, and I think they were going to start putting me with the heel faction, Sports Entertainment Extreme. It was called S.E.X. The acronym was S.E.X.
Come on
Sports
with it.
Entertainment Extreme.
We're gonna get to that.
And Vince Russo was the head of that, and me and Christopher Daniels. Really, those are the only two I remember being in it. I know there were several other people in it, but I only remember Christopher Daniels.
So at this point, let's kind of wrap this night up specifically. You don't remember a lot of it. Any negatives you remember? Anything else you remember?
No, not from this night particularly.
This night specifically.
So all the things that just we talked about happened in one night?
Close to it, yeah.
Wow. Wow,
It's a
that
big debut for you.
sounds like an impactful debut.
This is like you doing 3 shows in one night in Europe.
Maybe I wasn't supposed to get a pop. Maybe I was a heel.
We don't know at this point.
We just don't know yet. It was too early to put labels on me.
All right, can we revisit in the future? Because I
Yes,
want to
please.
get into
Well, look,
S.E.X.
I
I want to
think
get
what
into S.E.X.
I think in the future we should get into this because I think it's definitely this was up until getting into TNA and TNA debut. There's a lot of TNA after that I don't feel we've gotten into, that I think we don't have time this week, but we need to get into it.
Yep.
So look, I'm totally cool with maybe I'll let you decide, Casio Kid. What do you want to do?
We're going to get into S.E.X. in a future episode. What we're going to
You
do
and I?
now? Yes. Me and you are going to get into S.E.X.
Okay. All right. It sounds provocative, but hey, we're shilling Blue Chew, so go ahead.
Listeners and watchers are going to get to watch it. They're going to sit there and watch us get into S.E.X.
A real pleasure.
All right, let's get into the fan questions. Our first one is from Tony Flowers. Oh, you didn't know if TNA didn't work out, was there a plan B for you at this time?
I think the plan B was just overdose.
Oh God.
Got dark.
Plan B was bad.
Is it raining?
Plan B was bad.
Plan B was that ledge I was just standing on, and Plan B was that first step. And no, there was not a plan B, man. I would have gone back to doing the indies, and it just survived any way I could have until I finally hit rock bottom, whenever that would have been. And look, maybe it would have been sooner, to be quite honest with you, if I had, I hit hard consequences, but if I had the inability to maintain gainful employment, like once I lost all of that, then it was really, I need to find out what I'm doing. And that was when I started kind of a decade-long search for serenity and peace and that. But that's when I finally decided I needed to get sober, 10 years after this. You know what I mean? But yeah, plan B was keep trying to stay high, because that's all it was about at that time, sadly enough.
Brad Stanton said, what surprised you the most when you got to TNA? Anything that stands out like, whoa, I didn't know it was going to be this way, or anything like that?
I would say, no, I think a locker room's a locker room, and some locker rooms are better. And look, this was a tight locker room because I knew everybody there. A lot of the guys I had come up with were there with me. A lot of the guys that are coming up after me that I'd worked with on the indies and stuff were there. Kid Cash and Wolfie D and Brian Lee. We talked about these guys. I worked with a lot of them in Smoky Mountain and stuff too. So it was an awesome locker room. But again, it was me and Konnan and Ronnie Killings going to check the tire and the air in the tires outside, and we come back in and say, safety is paramount, so we gotta check the tires every 2 hours in the car. And we would just go out there and get high and then come back in and
safety is paramount.
we would tell them. And
That's
everybody
pretty
knew,
incredible.
but that was our running rib. Like, safety is paramount. We got to go check the air in the tires.
Well, we appreciate everybody for joining us for another one. Dog, we got one in, man.
We got one in, and I appreciate you sticking with me and you guys being patient while we try to figure this out. I apologize for the best of. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I know I did, listening back to it. But I hope everybody else did. It's this new schedule I got. I'm going to figure it out, and we're going to continue on with the You Didn't Know podcast. I appreciate, Cassio, you filling shoes that were difficult to fill, but you damn sure do it. And so I appreciate you and the team always. Without them, none of us would be doing this. Wesley and Steve and Dom, and there's probably some I'm forgetting. But yeah,
Derek,
Cassio,
Chris,
thank you.
yep.
Thank you very much, man, for this. And You Didn't Know listeners, what we could call I guess the Dog Pound.
Dog
right?
Pound's
What we
easy,
call
right?
That's the easy one. So Dog Pound. Thank
How about
you
this?
guys.
Here's what we want. Follow us on Twitter and all social media at You Didn't Know Pod. And how about you let us know what y'all
Amen.
should be called? Huh?
That's why you get paid the big bucks, Cassio, kid, because that's genius. We will ask the people we are planning to call something what they would like to be called.
It's 2022. I think we're supposed to do that now.
I think
we ask them what they
locked
want to
in.
be called.
We're
Yeah.
locked in. Look, no more fan questions today.
No.
I'm sick of answering them.
We're done. We are done. We got it in the books. You never know what's going to happen here on You Didn't Know. I am Cassio for Road Dogg Brian James. We got 4 words for you.
Oh, you didn't know? Bow, 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 bow.
Mm-mm-mm.